The drama surrounding Caitlyn Clark never really needs an announcement. All it takes is a quiet update, a refreshed profile, a new image slipping into place, and the entire internet lights up like someone hit a switch. Team USA barely said a word, just a subtle change to her profile. A new headshot, a cleaned-up bio, and suddenly timelines were flooded. Reactions exploded, and the familiar cycle kicked back into motion. Caitlyn Clark is back on the floor, and once again, everything around women's basketball seems to orbit her presence. But while the surface-level hype tells one story, the numbers underneath tell a very different one. And that's the part nobody wants to talk about. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time Caitlyn Clark's name appears, algorithms respond instantly. Views spike, engagement jumps, clips circulate. But when you zoom out and track what happens next, when you follow the data past the first rush, the picture gets shaky. Day 1 brings curiosity. Day 2 brings casual interest. By day 3, the drop-off hits hard. Viewer retention falls, attention drifts, and what that tells us is something far bigger than one player's popularity. It reveals a gap between spectacle and sustainability that the sport has not yet figured out how to close. Team USA released camp footage over the weekend, and on the surface it looked like a victory lap. Caitlyn back in action. Logo threes falling. Energy high. Smiles everywhere. But while fans celebrated, the league's foundation continued to crack quietly beneath the noise. CBA negotiations remain stalled. Another proposal rejected. A January 6 deadline looming with no resolution in sight. 6 weeks is all that separates this momentum from a potential lockout, and nobody seems ready to admit just how fragile the situation really is. If the worst-case scenario plays out, there's number 2026 season. Viewership, already trending unevenly, takes another hit. And the safety net people keep pointing to, unrivaled, doesn't have the numbers to carry the sport through a shutdown. Last year made that clear, but instead of confronting that reality, the conversation keeps drifting back to Caitlyn Clark updates, as if one superstar can somehow stabilize an entire ecosystem on her own. The new Team USA photo says a lot without saying anything. Clark looks leaner, lighter, stronger. This is the logo version, the one that pulls up from half court without hesitation. And from the footage alone, she's clearly been knocking those shots down all camp. Team USA didn't just update her image, they reinforced her resume. Rookie season records, assist totals that still don't feel real, historic milestones stacked one after another. Every line in that bio is a reminder that she didn't just arrive, she changed the standard. But dominance on paper doesn't protect a league when the infrastructure underneath is unstable. And that's where the disconnect becomes impossible to ignore. The camp itself offered a rare glimpse into where things really stand. 3 days in North Carolina, cold weather, rust everywhere. This wasn't a polished showcase. It was raw. Caitlyn hadn't played competitive basketball since others had been off since September. Timing was off. Physicality ramped up fast. You could feel the edge immediately. This wasn't about highlights. It was about seeing who could handle contact, who could adjust, and who was still finding their legs. One moment captured Caitlyn perfectly, guarding Kelsey Plum, getting bodied off her spot, a whistle blown, and Caitlyn instantly chirping at the refs. Competitive, animated, unfiltered coaches watching courtside laughed because they've seen it before. That fire never left. On the other end, Kelsey finally finished through traffic and let everyone hear about it, screaming toward familiar faces on the sideline. Same rivalries, same intensity, same personalities carrying over from the WNBA season straight into camp. Sue Bird noticed it too. She talked about how impressive it was that Caitlyn stayed engaged during her injury time, how quickly she snapped back into the rhythm of competition. But watching closely revealed something else. The step-back three is still lethal. The vision is still elite. But when she wasn't paired with Aaliyah Boston, the chemistry wasn't always there. Some bigs simply weren't ready for the pace or precision of her passes. One moment, a perfect delivery, fired to a teammate who instinctively brought the ball down instead of catching and finishing. That's the difference between familiarity and adjustment. Caitlyn plays fast. If you're not ready, the window closes immediately. FIBA-level physicality adds another layer. It's heavier, more contact, less space. And seeing Caitlyn go against scout teams instructed to play that way, especially after months away from live action, was revealing. She didn't shy away. She didn't look uncomfortable. But the reality is, even at 100% healthy, rhythm takes time. And she knows that. What stood out most wasn't the shots or the passes. It was her joy. Talking to media members, smiling between drills, clearly appreciating being back inside the process. After months of rehab and isolation, this camp wasn't about proving dominance. It was about reconnecting with the game. And yet, even with that access, even with first-hand perspectives being shared, the numbers didn't follow. An in-depth interview featuring direct access to Caitlyn at camp struggled to crack a few thousand views. That's not a criticism. It's a signal. The audience that shows up for viral moments doesn't always stay for substance, long-form insight, context, development. Those don't travel as far, and that's a problem when building something meant to last. The reporters who were there described a camp focused less on evaluation and more on foundation. No cuts, no final judgments, just chemistry building. Caitlyn admitted the rust was real. The shot was there. The speed was coming back. The defense still needed work. None of that is shocking. It's honest. And honesty is rare in an environment that constantly wants perfection. The matchup with Paige was never about rivalry. It was about projection. How these two might operate together down the line. That's the long view. And that's exactly what this camp represented. Not answers. Direction. But here's the tension that refuses to go away. While Team USA sets a tone under new leadership, while Caitlyn Clark reestablishes herself as the gravitational center of attention, the league itself remains on unstable ground. The numbers don't lie. Interest spikes around her. It doesn't consistently transfer beyond her. And that's a dangerous place to be if negotiations fail and momentum stalls. So yes, Team USA updated her hedge. They refreshed her bio. The internet reacted exactly as expected. But behind the hype, behind the celebration, there's a reckoning coming. Women's basketball is standing at a crossroads between moment and movement. And unless the league finds a way to build sustainability beyond one name, this surge risks collapsing under its own weight. Now it's your turn. Are we overestimating how stable women's basketball really is right now? Can Caitlyn Clark carry this momentum through a lockout if it comes to that? Or are we ignoring warning signs because the highlights feel too good to question? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you appreciate real conversations over surface hype. And subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. We're following every angle, every number, every shift as this story unfolds.